Hey howdy hey, how is everybody doing, and welcome back to Disney Daily. As I promised, today's video is going to be my top 10 list of Pixar Easter eggs. Now, if you all didn't know, Pixar is the master of sneaking in Easter eggs and connecting their movies in some way. So with that said, let's get started. Number 10 on this list is actually a very special Easter egg. It has been one of the main inspirations behind the grand Pixar theory that we know and love today. In the movie Brave, when Merida seeks out the witch in the forest to help her change her fate, if you look closely in the witch's home, we can see a wood carving that looks like Sully from Monsters, Inc. This has led many to believe, including myself, that the witch was actually Boo, who had learned to time travel using doors and was looking to reunite with her big blue fluffy pal. In Finding Nemo at P. Sherman's dentist's office, we get Easter eggs from two different films, both Toy Story and The Incredibles. During the scene when Nemo is first introduced to the tank, he looks around his new environment and we see very briefly the Space Ranger himself. Later on in this film, when Nemo is about to be thrown away, Marlin forces the pelican Nigel to go inside the dentist's office, causing a huge commotion. As it cuts to the child in the waiting room, he is seen holding a comic book in his hand. However, not just any comic book, it is a special one that features Mr. Incredible. Number 8. Toy Story 2 is by far my favorite Pixar movie, and it features some fun, familiar friends. In the movie, we get a quick cameo from Flick, Heimlich, and Dim from A Bug's Life. The scene when they all appear happens right after Woody is refreshed and pampered by the character we famously known as Jerry. Shortly after, Buzz is running through Al's toy barn and we can see on the right-hand side Flick lying on the floor and Heimlich and Dim are on the shelves. Now, since I mentioned Toy Story, that brings me to Easter egg number 7. In the movie Up, as Carl first sets sail in his new flying home, he flies past a little girl's bedroom who happens to be the owner of not only a Luxo ball, but the popular Pixar villain Lotso the Bear. This is one of the many ways Pixar creators have foreshadowed a new Pixar film. For those of you who don't know, Up was actually released before Toy Story 3, so little did we know that the strawberry-smelling pink bear would be the main focus in the new Toy Story film. Next up, number 6 on this list of hidden gems is from the movie Finding Dory. This highly anticipated sequel briefly features a very prominent character in the 2015 movie Inside Out. In the movie, Dory finds herself in a bucket full of dead fish and is tossed into a huge tank. For a brief moment, when Dory bumps up against the glass, which we see on the other side of the glass is a bunch of kids who seem to be on some sort of field trip. Now, if you look closely amongst these kids is the hockey-loving Riley from Inside Out. Number 5. Now, this particular Easter egg you might already know about, but it is so iconic that I decided to leave it in the countdown. At the end of Monsters, Inc., when Sully takes Boo back to her room, we see that Boo is so excited to share all of her favorite toys with the big blue monster. Not only do we see that ever-popular Luxo ball, but Boo hands Sully her favorite cowgirl, Jessie, and her favorite fish, Nemo. Now, what's interesting about this Easter egg is, once again, it is foreshadowing. As it turns out, Nemo would not be introduced until 2 years later in 2003. If you haven't caught on, there is a bit of a pattern when it comes to foreshadowing in the Pixar universe. Number 4 comes from the movie Cars 2, when Mater and Lightning McQueen go overseas for the World Grand Prix. In the movie, there's a reference to the heartwarming film Ratatouille. In Ratatouille, we know the restaurant Remy adores is famously known as Gusteau's. But in Cars 2, they changed the restaurant to an automobile-themed restaurant and call it Gasteau's. Now, these next 3 were a lot harder to catch, so that's why I saved them for the top 3. Number 3 is from the outrageously funny Monsters University. In the movie, we get to see Arlo from The Good Dinosaur. Towards the end of the movie, when the two monster groups are competing in the final competition of the Scare Games, we can see Arlo as a toy being swept off scene before the next monster enters the room. This next Easter egg comes from one of my other favorite Pixar films, Coco. In the beginning of the movie, we get Miguel rushing into the city to do his daily routine. If you look closely, we can see a couple of our favorite Pixar friends displayed as piñatas. We not only see Sheriff Woody and Buzz Lightyear, but Mike Wazowski from Monsters, Inc. as well. Number 1 on my top 10 Easter egg countdown comes from WALL-E. This particular Easter egg was hidden extremely well by the Pixar creators. Now, WALL-E not only brings to life what a futuristic world might look like, but who may be left behind from the Toy Story gang. In the beginning of the film, WALL-E returns home to what looks to be an old and broken down by and large truck. As WALL-E opens the vehicle, we see Rex the dinosaur in the middle of the screen behind 2 bowling pins. Well, that sums up my top 10 Pixar Easter eggs. I hope you enjoyed the countdown. I know I had fun making the video. Please let me know if any of these Easter Easter eggs were a surprise to you. As always, thanks for being my guest here at Disney Daily. Until next time.